All right, everybody, welcome back into the post-game show for Chapter 1163. In case this is your first time here, what goes down in these videos is that we like to go through the comment section and just read and see what everybody's talking about. Opinions, theories, takeaways, etc. We're here for all the good stuff. You may be wondering, Sai, what the hell is on your cheek right here? Well, even at the ripe age of 28, apparently I still get pimples, so that is a pimple patch. It's there so that you guys don't get grossed out. And now, let's get into the comment section. So while we're, transitioning over, if you guys haven't done yourselves the favor yet, make sure to check out the Rize movie, man. It blew me out of my seat. All right, so top comment with 136 upvotes. Emu should really get out of his house more often. Bro is mistaking everyone for people that died 800 years ago. I guess immortality can't cure dementia. Okay, wait a minute. We're joking about it, but I actually felt a little bit sad whenever Emu said, "Oh, it was you, Davy Jones. I knew it. It was you all along." It feels like an old man who kind of misses his war buddies. I feel like I'm the only one who felt that way. But yeah, it's kind of like one of those curses of immortality, right? He has to kind of watch everybody from his generation just fade out of existence. Sure, their will is being passed down. These are the descendants of Davy Jones, but this isn't them, man. I can't wait to get that flashback and just see how Emu interacted with Davy Jones, with Joy Boy, and the original 20 Kings and Queens, Queen Lily, and etc. I feel like once we get that flashback, we might feel a little bit bad for the guy. Kind of like when Rayleigh, right? Rayleigh saw Whitebeard die at Marineford. Well, he didn't see it, but he did watch it through the television. And he's like, there goes Whitebeard. Like, it must suck watching all of the people from your era fade away into dust. And when we get that Emu flashback, man, maybe we'll start feeling bad for the guy. Kaido was about to say Dragon Breath, but he realized he would get sued by Pokemon. Yeah, Kaido just coming out saying Dragon, bro, that's so silly. Yeah, you're right, though. Like, at least say Dragon Breath, Dragon Explosion, Dragon something. He just said Dragon, dude. He stopped right there, dead in his tracks. I just know, when Jay reads King of the Rats line, he's gonna crash out, yeah. Dude, between that and Agoras, remember, being named Saint Jay Garcia, it's like, whoa, Jay, what's going on here, man? Do you have connections with Oda? Shanks is such a rat. He stole Dragon's feet of getting him into a treasure chest. Yeah, dude, we all thought that this was gonna be the case. Of course, not everybody, but a majority of people thought that Dragon would be the one to do it. But no, Shanks does it himself. I mean, I don't even think this is Shanks being a rat. This could just straight up be a Shanks W even. Like, my God, babies, right? Considering how young Shanks is to do that, I don't know, man. That's something else. That's something else. Buggy pulls out all the stops and manages to determine that Captain John's treasure is actually none other than his son, Eustace Kid. Another priceless treasure lost to the bottom of the sea thanks to Shanks. That's funny. You got 3 comments back to back. Look at that. And yeah, dude, just imagine that. My treasure, it's my family. It's the friends I made along the way. And one of them is Eustace Kid, apparently. Named attack, named attack, named attack. Dragon. Imagine you're a cop joining in on a street fight with some criminals who you're low-key friends with, only to find out that the person you jumped was the president. Okay, whoa. Not just the president, but the shadow president. This isn't Joe Biden we're beating down. This is Dark Biden. What do they call him back in the day? Like Dark Brandon or something? Yeah, you're fighting Dark Brandon. Emu is a space pirate. Rox called him King of the Rats and Garb called him Vermin. The space pirates Enel fought looked like they were rats. Actually, did they? Wait a minute. I remember the one that wore like the Vegapunk looking logo. Let me see. One Piece Space Pirates. All right, so I'm looking them up as we speak, and I don't see a rat personally when I type in Space Pirates. Okay, so we have a named guy. Wait, this guy has a name? His name is Seamars, and he's the captain of the Space Pirates. What is he? He has a long white beard, wears a top hat. He wears a bodysuit that seems to have 3 manometers on it. One on the left sleeve, right in the chest. Doesn't say anything about his appearance. He does have like whiskers. I'll give you that. He has whiskers, but I don't see like a rat person. There's even like a bear person. Yeah, the Space Pirates, they seem very diverse. So I wouldn't say Emu right away is actually a space pirate, but I do like the idea. I do think Emu and Enel will have a lot of similarities. And kind of like how Enel wanted to go to space, I wouldn't be shocked if Imu wants to do something kind of similar. This says, I love the theory that in order for Imu to use Domi Reversi, the person needs to be in their homeland, which would explain Rox, Dory, Brogy, and Harold, and the Giants. And is the reason why Imu hates pirates because they have no home and are free. I do like this idea. I feel like the more I sit on this theory, the more I tend to enjoy it. My main thing is just that I want to see more examples of it before I say this is it. But this is, I'd say, among the top 3 of the Domi Reversi theories out there. And if I had to put a spork in it, I will say that come next chapter, we'll learn the stipulations of Domi Reversi. Because turning Rox, fine and dandy. The best person you could have turned on the island, actually. But if they don't turn Whitebeard, Roger, Garp, or anybody else from their crews into demons too, then yeah, I think this could be it. Right? Because Imu, they can easily just do it, right? It doesn't look like it takes any energy out of them whatsoever. So now that you got Rox, why stop there? If they don't do it on anybody else, I'd say that you and this theory might be correct. I think we're definitely going to see what Kaido meant when he's talking about how Roger was better than all of them. I think we're going to see Roger figure out how to defeat Rox and drive away Imu. I mean, not just that, right? When it comes to hockey is the way to stop or slow down regeneration. So I think this is where Kaido's going to be like, whoa, my Devil Fruit's freaking awesome, but it doesn't do anything in terms of stopping their regen. Roger, though, that conquers hockey, man. That is absurd. So yes, I do agree with you. I think Kaido is going to get a rude awakening here. Like I said, though, Devil Fruits are still amazing. I think it definitely boosts your durability, gives you more variety in attacks. But hockey, you need that. They really need to get Zeus and Scopper to sit down and drop God Valley lore. Yeah, because we, the audience, are getting it. But the Straw Hats, though, they could use it. I mean, hey, what's the harm in it, right? What's the harm in getting everybody up to date? Blackbeard probably witnessed his dad Xebec being finished off mercy killing blow by Whitebeard, Roger, and Garp, not knowing that he got reversied. Then goes on to feel justified going after Ace, trying to go after Luffy and killing Whitebeard because from his perspective, Whitebeard, Roger, and Garp offed his dad for no reason. Yeah, that could be it. You know, funny enough, like, I don't want to put all of it on a kid, but it's like, yo, like, your dad has fangs. Your dad has, like, black wings, you know what I mean? Like, he's bigger than normal. He's trying to go after you and your mom. Maybe something should have clicked and he's like, oh, maybe there's a reason they had to kill my dad. But like I said, it's a 2-year-old kid. I don't want to put all that on him. But yeah, that could be an explanation for the killings. And again, I am excited to see Garp and Blackbeard's interaction in the present time because Garp is in Blackbeard's basement as we speak. We are getting this flashback as the audience, but I wouldn't be shocked if we cut to real time and Blackbeard and Garp are having this flashback currently, like they're talking to each other about the events. I would love that, right? We come back to real time, Loki's done telling the flashback, and also, surprise, Blackbeard was getting this too. The only category of people we haven't seen Domi Reversied are Devil Fruit users. I don't know if that's because this would explain why Blackbeard was so fixated on getting fruits for his crew. Again, going back up to the Domi Reversi theories we talked about earlier, I like this a lot. I think, you know, both could be true, right? Devil Fruit users aren't affected, but also people on their homelands are especially affected. This, though, I think is a lot of fun. Devil Fruit users cannot get Domi because they already have a Devil Fruit or another will within their body. And yeah, Blackbeard knew this and he's like, hey, like, let's just gather all the Devil Fruits. Let's get everything we can. I think this right here is fantastic. And again, it could be something we realize next chapter because if Imu wants to Domi Reversi Whitebeard, Kaido, or Big Mom, then it wouldn't work. I want to see a failed Domi Reversi take place. What would that look like? Would Imu yell out Domi Reversi and then we got like the confused Luffy face going on? Maybe. How did YouTube behind this video for me for a whole minute? Joy Boy's real name was Davy Jones. It's the will of Davy Jones. Joy Boy was said to have made a promise to the Mermaid Princess and failed to keep it. The will of Davy is to fulfill this promise, which Rox agrees need to be fulfilled. Just like Kaido thinking he was Joy Boy and then realizing he's not that guy, Rox admitted he is not that guy either, but Whitebeard said a certain man will appear carrying hundreds of years of history on his shoulders, and that this is the promise Davy Jones made that needs to be fulfilled. I don't mind the theory. I personally don't agree with it, mainly because when Imu shows up to this island, they do scream out, oh, it was you, Davy Jones. We saw on another account, on Egghead Island, that when Joy Boy's Conquers Hockey was released, Imu said, ah, Joy Boy! Like, I feel like there's a difference there. Like back when that hockey released, they didn't say Davy Jones, right? And then over here, they don't call Davy Jones Joy Boy. I feel like they're two different people. Kind of like how present day we have Luffy and Blackbeard. I feel like in the past there was Joy Boy and Davy Jones. That's where I'm drawing the line. I could be wrong. You know, I could end up regretting that take later, but that's my stance as of 1163. This says, one possibility that I see happening is Rox manages to somewhat break through, but will beg Garp, Roger, and his crew to kill him. It's a little cliche, but I still think that depending on how it's done, it will be incredibly tragic and sad. I agree. I hope he does come back. I hope Rox doesn't just end off as a demon. Hell, I'm even cool with us beating Rox, and then the last few moments, he's like, guys, you know, I'm cooked, man, but save my family, please. Just, I want Rox back. You know, I know he's dead. I know he's gonna get cooked, but hear me out. I want him to retain some sense of himself in his final moments. Probably, Imu is the king of a lot of people who betrayed Joy Boy, Davy Jones, and therefore they're called rats. That's not a bad idea. I don't know if we'll get to a comment about it, but somebody mentioned, and I thought that was kind of funny, right? Going back to somebody saying that the space pirates are rat people, somebody said, hey, don't forget, you know, one of the first Marines we met, minus like Axe and Morgan, was actually Nezumi, who is a legitimate rat Marine guy. Don't know what's going on there. And then, of course, another Marine. I don't know his name, but it's the Marine that attacked Whitebeard's hometown. He also had, like, rat whiskers. I don't know. Like, maybe that's going to be Emu's original design. Like, we go back to the Void Century and Emu was, like, I don't know, their ancestor. It's strange. Strange stuff. And rats, you know, kind of going off of Emu's name. Emu's full name is Emu Norona. Rat in Japanese, I believe, is Nezu? Or Nezumi? So maybe back in the day, they saw his name Norona, and because they didn't like the guy, they instead changed it to Nezumi, and that's like a long-running joke, which would be kind of slanderous, right? Oh, Norona? Nah, Nezumi. Rat bastard. Yikes. I think I figured out the requirements for Emu to successfully use Domi Reversi. 1, they must be in their homeland, and 2, a blood sacrifice from the victim. This makes the most sense because the only people we've seen be demonified are giants while in Elbaf and the Davy clan at God Valley. This also keeps Emu's power in check so he can't just use it on whomever, wherever. Both those requirements I stated must be met before he can complete the spell. That's why Emu stabs Rox and shoots off Brogy's arm. It's a demonic ritual. Also, I don't think Emu is necessarily trying to manipulate Rox, but more so, that's just the process of how the spell is casted. Emu is not only casting the spell, but they're also giving a direct command to demon versions of their victims. They did the same thing to Brogy a couple chapters ago. I agree with all this, and I'm on the same boat, but the one caveat here is that we've seen people that did not fulfill this second requirement, right? A blood sacrifice from the victim. Because on Elbaf, we saw Tall Man. I think that was his name. Tall Man, big guy, whatever. We saw him get Domi Reversi'd, and he didn't take any wounds to our knowledge. He was simply nearby demonified giants, and then they got flipped. So maybe it's like one or the other. It doesn't have to be both. But yeah, we've seen people get flipped without this right here. The homeland one, that has been true so far. Blood from a victim, no. Unless we kind of just spin it to where only the original demonified person needs their blood drained, but that'd be kind of like wishy-washy. Yeah, like I said, I think next chapter will pretty much learn most of the ins and outs of this ability, or at least I hope so, because this is like the main thing on everybody's mind. Red Line and Tequila Bridge. It's a worldwide transmutation circle. Emu is a being like father. Huh. Yeah, no, I like this idea. Funny, because I just finished FMAB. Yeah, maybe that's what Emu's going for, right? We saw magic circles being whipped out. Maybe Emu wants to do a giant magic circle, kind of like FMAB. Interesting, okay. And then that would signify Emu's world being finalized. But what would the transmutation circle do, right? Because in Full Metal Alchemist, not to spoil anything, but they kind of want to sacrifice people for a Philosopher's Stone. So what would Emu's equivalent even be here? Like, yes, a world just for Celestials. I don't even know if Emu wants that. King of the Rats could be a great multi-layered diss. First, it's straightforward on how Emu hides away in their throne room, avoiding all attention like a rat. Second is more headcanon, but the idea of a rat and a sinking ship. That Emu was a traitor to Joy Boy when they needed him the most. I like that. Obviously, mutiny is a big pirate move, and we haven't really seen one in the story thus far. Of course, we know that Captain John dies to a mutiny, but that wasn't on screen. So maybe Imu's gonna be the first traitor, the first rat within the crew. And then, of course, with the ability of Domi Reversi, they'd be considered king of the rats because they could turn the rest of Joy Boy's crew against them as well. And also, I just straight up like the title King of Rats because that is a genuine thing that happens, or at least, you know, it's hypothesized that it happens. It's like a myth, is it not a myth, whatever. But King of Rats is a phenomenon where rats get entangled into just one little creature being thing. Like they all get wrapped up together. And we know that Imu, well, we don't know for sure, but Imu is a really weird person, right? They refer to themselves in the third person. We kind of expect them to be possessing a body. They're immortal as well. What if King of the Rats is very on the nose, right? It ties back to real world mythos where it's just a bunch of rats in one thing. What if Imu is an amalgamation of different souls? Like it's not just one person or two people, it's literally like multiple people in one form, which I know sounds like hodgepodge, but my theory right now is that Imu is actually all the original 20 kings and queens. I think that could be it. Obviously, it's a theory, so it doesn't look that great right now, but we'll see. That is the weight I put on King of the Rat title, but my theory aside, though, I do put a lot of weight on the King of the Rat title. I think there will be a lot to this. At first, I was like, okay, maybe the translators just kind of, you know, messed that up. Maybe there's gonna be more nuance to it because, you know, Japanese is hard. There's a lot of ways to translate certain words. But now that we have multiple translations out, it's like, no. Everybody's translating it as King of the Rats. So it is very on the nose. I think something will come out of this. And of course, multi-layered diss. The promise is probably a deal Imu made with Davy D. Jones, and that Imu never fulfilled. Davy Jones' descendants have never forgotten, and the ambitious ones like Xebec and Teach aim to collect, yeah. And the thing about Davy Jones' promise, I really hope that Eris makes it off the island just so that she tells Teach about the promise. Because right now, if Eris and Rox die, Blackbeard has no clue what the promise is even about. I feel like he knows current day, so maybe Eris lives because of this, just so that he can carry the weight of 100 years on his shoulders, you know, going back to that previous comment. Imu literally said, lamentably, to the top 6 old gen named attacks, that's crazy. Oh, no, that was actually just the spoiler guy. The spoiler guy said that it was lamentable that Imu survived it. Imu did not say lamentably. Imu actually had no reaction when you get to the chapter, right? Which, you know, this comment, I think that's totally fine. You know, obviously, this video was made off of spoilers. We didn't have the chapter in front of us yet. So this is an easy misconception. But yeah, Imu tanked that attack and didn't sweat, didn't lose any aura. They just stood there, which is absurd. Crazy that the big bad in the story just speaks in third person. There's going to be some reason to this. 100% this is going to be explained. Also, a little bit weird that they don't even call themselves Imu. It's just Mu. Like, they remove the I. Also, I think that has a reason. This is sad. Garp and Roger probably killed Xebec to stop him from killing his wife and son because they understood he would never have wanted that. Oof. Well played, Oda. Yeah, well played, Oda. King of the Rats. Rox got us all wet with that one. Yeah. Between this and the whole promise thing, I feel like that's what everybody's going to run with. And Domi Reversi. If I had to list like the top 3 things everybody's going to be talking about for the next 7 days, Rats, Domi Reversi, and the Davy Jones promise. Those are the top right there. I love how Baby Shanks is like, damn it, Dragon, you had one job. Now I gotta do the plot by myself. Maybe Davy was in Rox, and now that Rox is dead, Davy is in Blackbeard, question mark? Maybe the Davy clan secret is that Davy himself can literally live through his descendants. It plays into the Blackbeard multiple souls theories too. Oh, yeah, okay, so maybe Imu like is looking inside of Rox, because after Rox says that he's never met Davy Jones, Imu doesn't really respond to that. They just say, hey, you need to be wiped out. You know, Moo's world isn't completed yet. They never really tackled the Davy Jones line ever again. So maybe you're right. You know, maybe deep down he sees like the will of Davy and he's like, I recognize this. I know who you really are. Take off that flesh skin. Now, this explains why Imu allowed Rox to leave the Holy Land, most likely because of Davy Jones. Oh, now that I think about it, now that you mention it, this could even be another one up for the Domi Reversi homeland theory. Because Imu had no problems Domi Reversing Rox here, but he didn't do it at the Holy Land. Maybe because that's not his hometown. And then same with Sabo, right? Sabo managed to escape the throne room. And you know what? Imu didn't Domi Reversi him. He didn't even try. Imu stabbed Sabo, blood sacrifice, but no Domi Reversi, no demonification? Maybe the homeland theories are correct? Maybe they are. A small theory that may go nowhere. Domi Reversi somewhat works on rocks because of his hockey, so he can barely keep his control. So he does end up killing Eris but not Teach, and he asks Garp and Roger to kill him out of mercy so he can't kill anymore. Likewise with King Harold, he gets Domi'd and asks Loki to kill him before he can do major damage on Elbaf. Also why Loki says he wants to destroy the world. Yeah, I'm on this boat. Eris is such a hodgepodge, man. I don't know if she's gonna live or die, but I think if we wanted the dramatics, yes. Rox kills Eris, and then before he kills Teach, boom, he snaps back, and he's like, Garp, Roger, please, I'm gonna lose control, kill me. I mean, I feel like that's classic shonen stuff, right? We've probably all seen a plot point similar to that before, but you gotta admit, every single time, it hits, it hits. JD Legend is going to be fuming. Bro got his title stolen. Luffy better use the same magic Sakura used on Naruto during the Pain arc to get Shanks or Dragon on Elbaf, because bro is not effing winning. Yeah, I don't think we're winning. I mean, the thing with Luffy, right? Sure, Luffy has the Warrior of Liberation, Zoan Devil Fruit, mythological Joy Boy magic, yes. But he doesn't know that, right? Luffy has no clue what he even is. He knows nothing about Nika. Will he be able to stop Domi Reversi intentionally? No. No way. Luffy still has to fight a time limit. Mind you, Egghead, time limit, time and time again. He's not ready. I could definitely see Emu winning on Elbaf, and I'm a fan of that as well, because that would give us a reason to go to Marie's Raw. Right now, Luffy and the gang, no reason whatsoever to go up there and fight Emu. But if Emu successfully captures the kids, yes, I do think Luffy would go and try to rescue them. Hell, I feel like Nami would want Luffy to do that, right? Nami loves kids. And plus, Luffy loves the giants. Scopper, of course, his son's being kidnapped. Yeah, I think they would go up there, and I think that would be a big W for the story. But we'll see. Rat King is a term for when a bunch of rats are tangled together by their tails. Maybe in this context, Rox understands that he is able to control any of his subordinates. Oh, that's another good way to look at it. Yeah, Emu is tied to all the Gorosei, all the God Knights, so Rat King also works. That's good. And yeah, this is a really good spin for the theory I talked about earlier. I love that, man. I love that. It's funny how we, came to the same concept, but we went different directions. That is what I love about the One Piece community, man. I don't always agree with some of the theories in here, like the one earlier saying, oh, Boy Davy Jones. I don't agree with that, but I respect it, man. People do cook up really good things, and I enjoy it. The diversity here, kind of our strength, right? Which sounds silly. Diversity is our strength, but I mean, here it is. I mean, the diversity of thought, man. Rox was talking that talk to Emu, bro, actually ran a fade with the ruler of the world and didn't give a damn to the very end. He was. He even said Emu's attack was weak. What? Huh? Yeah, he was talking that talk. Few things. One, tentacles Emu uses are probably Saturn's tentacles like legs, which we saw him use in Egghead. Domi Reversi definitely requires Emu to hit somebody first, and like the name Reversi, between him and the person who was hit becomes a black piece. 3, when I think about it, this is literally everyone who becomes a Yonko on one screen plus Garp. I think there's a reason somewhere in here that they became Yonkos, and I think that coincides with the WG not going after the Yonko crews. Side note, Emu had to have been on God Valley longer than when he first popped up, since he had already turned a lot of the Davy clan into demons. First part, now that we see the tentacles, they're actually just like black shadow things. It actually comes out of Emu's body. Like, it's not Saturn's, which is pretty odd. It's also very skinny too. Like, it doesn't look like it would hurt compared to like most attacks in One Piece. But yeah, Emu does have weird shadow tentacles. For the second point, yeah, kind of like blood sacrifice, Domi game, yeah, that's pretty standard. This last one, I like this, right? Everybody who becomes a Yonko, whether it's Whitebeard, Kaido, Big Mom, and even Shanks, right? They don't want to go after Emu. They're all, I wouldn't say they're subservient, but they're willing to let Emu exist, and they're not antagonizing the world government. Maybe that's why, like you said, the WG lets them slide. And the reason why Whitebeard, Kaido, Big Mom, and Shanks before now didn't want to go after Emu is because they know how powerful they are. After this island, Whitebeard starts chilling. Big Mom starts chilling. Kaido starts chilling. Well, Kaido's building up an army to eventually fight, but that's like years and years down the line, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think Emu really did just put the fear of God in everybody on this island, and because of that, they don't want to fight back. Minus Roger, right? Roger decided to go after the One Piece, which is antagonizing the WG, but even then, he didn't really know what he'd find at the end, and also, to our knowledge, Roger never fought Emu after this island too. And then, of course, there's Garp, who goes back to the Marines, and he's just like, whoa, yeah, I'm just gonna raise the next generation instead. I think everybody here realizes that this is a battle that they can't win. And instead, like what I said about Garp, maybe they just want to focus on the next generation. Hell, even Kaido, right? Kaido had a prodigy. Kaido loved Jack the Drought. That was like the second coming of him. That was like the son he always wanted. Big Mom, of course, raising her kids to become stronger. Garp with sword, possibly. And then Whitebeard had his family and Ace and etc. Like, yeah, I think they all know that the next generation is kind of just where it's at right now. As far as the side note goes, I don't think this is true based off of what we've seen and the flow of events. We saw Garling with Domi Reversi demons before Imu showed up. So I don't think that's the case. And of course, when Imu shows up, we actually get the Black Lightning, you know, around God Valley too. So we kind of have like a clear indication of that. So as far as Domi Reversi goes, I don't think it's an Imu exclusive ability. I feel like most of the God Knights can do this. Or at least, you know, maybe just Yonko, Garling, or the blonde hair Holy Knight. Maybe just one of them. But yeah, more than just Imu can use it. They did Rox and Herald so dirty in hindsight, they could have been the most insane team if they knew the future. But alas, yeah, hindsight's 2020, man. Hindsight is 2020. And I cannot wait to see what Herald's reaction is going to be when he hears what happened to Rox. And also, will he ever learn what happened to Rox, right? He'll know that Rox died, but will he know that the WG are the ones that did it? That's the big question. That's the big question. There's still a question that I don't see a lot of people asking. Why is Garling old in the modern day? He has the same regeneration powers the other God Knights have, and the ones we've seen in Elbaf and God Valley appear to be the same age, but Garling isn't. It makes me believe he was some sort of backup elder in case one died, or Imu knew he would replace one soon and allowed Garling to age a bit. So the only one that hasn't aged is Yonko, because Sommers actually did age up. Here at God Valley, he's very young, and then you go to Elbaf and he's much older. So I think all of them do age normally until they get like the Gorosei upgrade. And then of course Yonko, the reason she doesn't age might just be because she's special. She's the one that's constantly in Imu's room. So yeah, I think Yonko's just different in that regard. And of course, she has like that weird double eye thing going on, and Imu does take over from that eye. So I think there's a lot more to her than your average God Knight. Similar to how Luffy's fruit had a hidden name, I think there's something hidden with the Yami Yami, and it somehow connects and is related to Imu's Abyss. With Rox using Abyss in his attack name, I think there's more to the Abyss that's being hinted at. It's been speculated that the Yami Yami is one of the legendary devil fruits Rox was looking for based on Blackbeard's reaction when he saw that Thatch had it, and that connection to the Abyss could be the reason why it's necessary to bring Imu down. Yep, I feel like the Yami Yami being something more has been around for a while. Ever since we saw what happened with Luffy's fruit, it's like, okay, the Yami Yami's possibly going to be next, especially since we learned in the beginning that it is a special Logia, right? It doesn't function how other Logias work. I wonder why. And kind of going off this point too, an easy slam dunk for all of this is the fact that Blackbeard, he has an attack. The first attack he landed was actually called Liberation, right? He's used Liberation, I think, twice in the series so far. And it's like, yo, if Luffy is the warrior god of liberation, Blackbeard could also be a god of liberation, but just a different version of it, right? Luffy's like the light of liberation, Blackbeard is the darkness of liberation, and yes, I do think that these are the two fruits Rox was looking for. Two sides of the same coin. But yeah, that is it for today, guys. Let me know what you thought about all these comments down below. I really appreciate all your feedback, all the theories. I think it's always just fun just talking about One Piece, right? You can't get enough of it, man. Really can't. Next chapter should be around the corner. 1164 is hot on our heels, so you guys stay tuned for when that drops. But until then, though, you guys take care. Make sure to leave your predictions down below. I'll be dropping a pinned comment. Leave your one-liners there, and we'll be going over them in the next couple of days. You guys stay safe, and peace out, brothers.